Hey guys, are you looking for a sportsbook that you can trust? Well, look no further than mybookie.ag, where you can get a 50% match on your initial deposit of up to $1,000 when you use promo code DFSArmy. As a bonus, when you use promo code DFSArmy, you also get a free month of DFS Army VIP and DFS Army Beat the Bookie membership. That's a $100 combined value. So we'll help you with your daily fantasy sports and we'll help you with your handicapping. Free when you sign up for mybookie.ag using promo code DFS Army. Hey guys, people always ask me what exactly we do in DFS Army. Basically, if you're someone that likes to play daily fantasy sports, you want to be able to pop in close to lock, get a breakdown of a slate, full set of projections, breaking news, and cheat sheets, player picks, and advice directly from pro players, then DFS Army is the place for you. We function as a team. We help each other out. We have coaching unlike any other service in the industry. And the proof is in the results. Check out our DFSArmy.com wall of wins to see for yourself the massive number of six-figure wins regular DFS Army average Joes have won in just the past year. If you're tired of redepositing all the time, you already like playing on Fanduel and Draftkings, but you want to take your game to the next level, it's time to sign up for DFS Army as a VIP member. Use promo code PODCAST to lock in 20% off the normal monthly rate. That's going to wind up at $39.99, the best deal in the industry. Promo code PODCAST, 20% off, DFSArmy.com, the best deal in the industry. We'll see you in the lobby.
In 2015, an elite DFS Army Commando unit formed to bring high-level DFS strategy to the masses. Today, hated by DFS sharks and lineup sellers alike, they continue their quest to turn Joe into DFS pros.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is your DFS Army Bold Calls NBA DFS podcast for Friday, March 29th of 2019. And I am your host today, the one, the only, the pumped up on coffee, BoomersDaddy. And joining me is my coffee partner in crime, Bear. What's up, Shy?
Keith, how are you?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Which is kind of to be expected considering we just had MLB kickoff yesterday. We still got NBA going, and it's just a lot of fun. A couple years ago, MLB started on the first Monday in April. Minus the little Sunday night thing that they used to do, and the international series that they used to do a couple days before the season and everything. But most of the teams, the big opening day was the first Monday in April. Well, the NBA, they would not schedule a game that day. Like, there were zero. So I got a full day of MLB before I had to go into double duty. This year, it's like, bam! No break for you. Do want to let everybody know that I believe it is, looking at the calendar, April 8th. That is a week from Monday. There are 0 NBA games because then we have 2 11-game slates to finish the season. Now, what that means for you guys is this. We obviously have a pod today. We will have a pod Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. There are 9, 12, and 13 games those days. Okay. I will not be doing anything outside of my normal or I will have light MLB days those days. It will be me and Bear and the rest of the NBA coaches fully devoted to you. So I won't be splitting double duty as much as I possibly can. Okay. My main focus will be on NBA. Then we have a 14-game slate on Sunday, the 7th of April. Now, normally, we do not have podcasts on Sundays.
Right.
But I'm going to, Bear's just finding out about this now, so I'm interested to hear his face. I'm going to try to see if I can get with him and maybe do something either late that Saturday night or really early that Sunday morning. Don't know yet. It's still a little bit out. It just depends on exactly what our schedules can do because he is 2 hours behind me, the slacker. But we will have plenty of content that Sunday. Okay. Don't want anybody to think that just because it's a Sunday, we're going to be slacking off. Because it's such a large slate, and I don't know the schedule yet, but because it's such a large slate, we will make sure that we have plenty of information for you guys. Now, I know that a lot of you guys have checked out, okay, because of the way that the NBA handles their situations and it being late in the season and all the tanking and stuff, okay? But I want to add to you on this. A lot of times, the last couple of seasons, some of our biggest wins, some of our best slates have been after MLB has started. Why? Because people leave or they're pulled in divided attentions and they can't really manage two sports that well. So there's, I don't want to say free money, Bear. I don't think that's the right word, but
pretty close.
It's easier money. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got guys that are coming in there and they're having success for MLB and earning money. And then they want to dabble back into NBA again. You know, so they add to the pool as well. What I say that to kind of add this into consideration. My personal approach, and I'm a tournament player, but I do play a lot of cash during the NBA season. My personal approach is by this time, I've pretty much drained all the cash. Okay, I do not play cash games. I play multiple lineups, depending on the slate, will depend on exactly how many I do play. But I play multiple lineups spread out through contests because there's two things that happen. One, stars or people get scratched late that have no idea that there's been no word that they could possibly sit all day long. And that creates value to where this time of year, and we've already seen it happen, 3, 4, 5 punt plays that are like 4,500, 4,200 and below, they'll go for 8 to 10x on a nightly basis. Okay. And there's just nothing the sites can do about that fast enough because it's unforeseen.
Right.
And that creates for a lot of variance when you're talking about a lot of these value plays projected to get 25, 30 minutes and teams seeing what they have in these young guys that basically haven't played a lot all season. And they're dropping 45 fantasy points, you know, in a night. And it's not just one of them, you know, it's multiple at multiple positions. So it really does create a more volatile atmosphere in the NBA that we're not used to seeing at any other point in the season. Okay. You know, sometimes you'll have 1, maybe 2, if it's a crazy night, 3, but when we're getting 4, 5, 6 of these guys going for the insane value, it really does make things more of a crapshoot. So as far as me personally, I spread my exposures out a little bit more. Still keep a tight core, but spread my exposures out. I don't go all in on any of these value plays. I make sure I have, you know, some of all of them to where I'm covered on the value plays. Not trying to cover every base, but the value plays to try to cover them. And I play multiple lineups across multiple contests. So that's kind of how I deal with it. Bear, what about you? How do you kind of deal with the craziness of this time of the year in the NBA?
It's my favorite time of year for NBA. Honestly, there right now is when when MLB starts the most success, because you and I keep up. We follow what's going on. We follow who's playing. We follow who's not playing. We follow who wants to be, as you mentioned, some of the young guys who want to be looked at and evaluated at this time of year. I look at so there's two things I look at. The first thing is teams that are out of the playoffs, and guys they may have signed on 10 days, guys they may have called up from G League, guys they may have not played as much during the year, and now they're out of the playoffs, they want to see what they can do. That's the first thing I look at. Second thing I look at is teams that are in the playoffs and have a reason to play. In other words, the Thunder. The Thunder are...
We'll talk about them too.
They're dropping and dropping and dropping in the standings, right? They were like 4th, now they're like 7th. They could be 8th. I mean, they have to win ball games. So, excuse me. So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at, playing them and playing their competition.
The Blazers are another one. I'm glad you brought up the 10-day contract, topic, because these are guys that are getting second and third chances, maybe even possibly getting their final chance. And NBA isn't one of those, as far as like sports that you can come in on a new team and make an immediate impact. I say NBA is the second out of the big three, because MLB, you can come in. There's not a lot of you got to know the signs and stuff like that, but it really is a lot of one-on-one individual matchups, within a team game. And NBA is the second one that you don't need to know as much going on now chemistry helps. Trust me. We know this. But unlike NFL, where you have to know the playbook, you have to know the timing with your quarterback, you have to know the timing of the offensive line and when they open up holes and the rhythm of the running back and all these different things, you don't need that quite as much for NBA. It helps, but you can go one-on-one and take a guy to the hole, or you can, make sure that you pop out on a screen and get a look at a wide open three. You can hustle and make plays on defense, and stuff like that. So 10-day guys are really, really, really great guys, especially if you know that they're going to get minutes and you know their type of game and you watch them like me and Bear do. You can really, really get low ownership guys that are going out to prove themselves either on their second, third chance, or even their final opportunity to get a shot to try to stick in the NBA.
Example, Christian Wood, right?
Well,
prime example. He was cut. He was playing in the G League for the Bucks. He went down to the Herd. They wanted Mirotic. They wanted Pau Gasol. They had to cut someone. They cut Christian Wood. He got picked up by the Pelicans. Anthony Davis missed a few games. He's like, I need to show that I belong because this is my career on the line. I want to play next year in this league. And frankly, he deserves to be in the league after what we're seeing he can do.
Yeah, so me and Luce were talking about that last night. I get the idea of wanting Mirotic, but one, he hasn't been healthy. But I believe that, and DJ Wilson was a first round pick. Yeah. So they kind of had to keep him. But I believe that, and I'm not saying that Ersan doesn't have value in this league, because for somebody he does, but I think Christian Woods can give you more, at least with the continuous development, than Ersan can. I mean, we were talking about that. I think Christian Wood is a good example, but I also think it's an extreme example, because I don't think his talent's ever been doubted. I think it was more of a, like Luce said, a political and really a financial thing, because cutting him got them underneath the luxury tax. I look at guys like last year, like Gerald Green, sitting in his home in Boston. The Rockets needed somebody because they were banged up, and they signed him to a 10-day, and he came in and lit it up against Boston. Like literally got off his couch that morning in Boston. The Rockets were in Boston, came in and lit it up for like 30-something points.
Mm-hmm.
Those are guys that I kind of that when I think of last legs, need to prove themselves and show that they belong. That's the type of situation that I look to. Now that's an extreme as well, but it kind of gives you an idea of both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So,
so guess where we're starting today?
We are starting at the point guard position. Okay, so real quick, let's go over the scenarios.
Injuries, please.
I was going to go over the scenarios in the league first, then the injuries.
Okay.
Okay, so in the Eastern Conference, guys or teams that are playing tonight, that I would say need to win. Charlotte, they are a game and a half out of the 8th spot. Indiana and Boston are going at each other. That's just basically for jockeying. If Boston wins, they'll be tied for the 4 seed. I think they hold the tiebreaker, but I'd have to double check. But they would be at least record-wise tied for the 4 seed.
And we'll talk about that game too. I got some thoughts there.
Yep. As far as, but those are the only ones in the Eastern Conference. Now the Western Conference, Portland has to win. If they win, they kind of take control of that 3 seed because they're tied with Houston right now. And I'm pretty sure that Houston holds that tiebreaker. The Denver Nuggets kind of would like to win. I know they want to try to get that 1 seed. It's not, necessary, but I know that's something that they're shooting for. Plus, their owner came out and challenged them at the beginning of the season as their goal is to win their division. And that magic number is down to 5. Like, they weren't going to settle for just making the playoffs. They wanted to win the division. So I know that they want to win. I don't know, need to win is really the word there. The Utah Jazz need to win. Okay. The reason for that is the Clippers are on their heels. The Thunder are a game back. The Spurs are a game and a half back. Okay. Basically the 5 seed. And what that 5 seed does, it allows you to not get the Golden State Warriors or the Denver Nuggets in the first round. Okay, that's basically what these 5 teams, 5 through 8, are kind of jockeying over, is the right to not play Golden State or Denver in the first round.
I think it's more Golden State they're concerned with. I just think a lot of teams aren't scared of Denver.
Yeah, I think the only thing they're probably scared of is them having home court advantage and having to play up there for 4 games.
That makes more sense. But the team itself,
I can see, yes.
Yeah, they're. You know what I'm hearing a lot of? You know that years back when they had Kyle Korver, whoever else, that Atlanta Hawks team that was like top of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, with Budenholzer, with Millsap and Teague.
And Teague, right. They couldn't do anything in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people compare this Denver Nuggets team to that Atlanta Hawks team.
Yeah, that's a good. I've actually heard that comparison as a wait and see approach with the Bucks as well, because it was Budenholzer that was running that team that was the best team in the NBA record wise. Number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, I can definitely see that as well, because let's face it. One, this Denver Nuggets team, as far as playoff wise, outside of Paul Millsap,
not tested.
They're not tested at all.
At all.
Second, it makes perfect sense.
I mean, they're losing games to teams that they have no business losing to.
Right.
I know the biggest issue for them right now is which Jamal Murray comes out night in, night out. That's what they need to. Is he healthy? I don't know. Maybe, but my biggest. So they were one of my favorite teams to watch pretty much all year, and last year too. And when Isaiah Thomas they were talking about him starting to be healthy. I was like, please no, he's going to ruin that team. He's going to ruin that team. Sure enough, he got in the rotation. He started losing games. He's out of it now, and they can't really recoup, and they can't go back to that level that they were. Am I blaming one individual? No, of course not. But there's
they don't look as focused either,
particularly on the defensive end.
Yes,
that's the part that's got me, because they kind of went back to what they were last season. Really good on offense, good ball movement. Jokic, Millsap, Murray, Gary Harris, Barton, they're all threats to put up 50 points if they need to. But on the defensive side, it started lapsing again, and they're not going to get very far if they don't continue to play the defense they played 80% of the season.
Yeah, there was some as you guys know, I listen to a lot of NBA radio on Sirius XM, and they were actually it was No Look Pass. I think it was about a week ago, and they jockey their hosts and talent on there all the time. But I think it was Antonio Daniels who said that he would absolutely 1,000% if he said, because he does a lot of Thunder stuff and Maverick stuff, but he said in regards to the Thunder, if you can't get to that 5 seed to face the Rockets or the Blazers, or the 6 seed, as long as you jockey yourself to not face the Warriors in the first round, he's like, how big, he basically asked, how big of an upset, knowing the talent of this Oklahoma City team and where they were for a good portion of the season, not the way that they've played, but a good portion of the season, how big of an upset would it really be if the Denver Nuggets got beat in the first round by the Thunder? I think if you sat there and said, okay, if the Spurs or the Clippers beat the Nuggets in the first rounds, that could be a little bit more of an upset. But in regards to the Thunder, I don't know if that would necessarily be that big of an upset. Sure, it would be a disappointment for the Nuggets because you got the 2nd seed. 2 seeds aren't supposed to really lose to 7 seeds, but knowing the construction of the teams and the talent on the Thunder, it might not be an upset. So they were saying, that a lot of these guys can see, because of what you just mentioned, the Nuggets not making it out of the first round of the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could see it if they play the Thunder, and that's not me fanboying out. That's me legit knowing.
Well, it's not just the Thunder. It could, honestly, man, the Clippers might even be able to get them. I mean, San Antonio will be able to beat them. There's all kinds of teams at the bottom of the West, the bottom of the Western playoffs, that are a legit threat and will not be an easy. There are no easy outs in these playoffs,
right?
In the West.
And I would agree with you. I think that I would be maybe not shocked to see if they beat them, but shocked to see if they beat them, dominate on them, 4 or 5 games. That I think would be a shock to me if it was the Clippers or the Spurs.
Yeah, they're not going to get ran over. Right. Look, the Nuggets are still a good team. I mean, you don't take the 2nd seed in the Western Conference, in the loaded, stacked Western Conference by being bad. And even, you've seen teams like the Thunder who were up to 2nd, a little bit of a slip, and they're all the way down to 6th. So, but the Nuggets haven't. They've still maintained their positioning. So, yeah, they're obviously a good team. But the biggest thing there is the playoff tested, and there's only so much of Millsap you can lean on in a 7-game series, because you're going to need every single one of your guys in that series. You're going to need and by the way, bold call, 1 game of these playoffs, they're going to win because of Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, I can definitely 100% see that.
Yeah.
And especially if it's against the Thunder, because he's lit us up in the past. Now, he was healthier at the time, so I'm not denying that at all. And we'll get into Millsap when we talk about power forwards, because I've got a couple hot takes on him. But as far as, okay, so just to finish up the standings part, then we'll move to the injuries. The Jazz need to win. Golden State, I don't think Golden State really honestly cares. I think they want to be, I don't think they want to face the Thunder in the first round. Not that it would matter too much. They would do it if they had to. obviously. That's a duh statement. But I think if they could avoid it and control that, they would. Oklahoma City obviously needs to win. Guys, there's a game and a half separating the 5 and 8 seed in the Western Conference right now. Like, that's it. Every game matters to these guys. Now, some would say, well, you know, that's going to make them really, really tired coming down the stretch. Well, I kind of think of it like as in playoff basketball starts now.
Yes, it does.
And then by the time they get to the playoffs, they might be more focused and steal a game or two from some of these top seeds just because of the fact that they've been playing playoff games for weeks now. So just a thought and everything. But those are basically your teams that have something to play for. Boston, Indiana, Portland, Oklahoma City, Denver, meh, Golden State, meh, Utah. Okay, so about half the teams on the slate. Okay, now let's go over injuries. We've got some dudes. Robert Williams and Al Horford are both probable. Okay, this is big because this kind of shifts the rotation of Aaron Baines. However, Brad Stevens has made it known that he is thinking hard about starting Horford at the 4. In fact,
did that last game.
That's what I was about to say. In fact, he did that last game, moved Marcus Morris back to the bench, which actually helped out a lot. Now, they didn't win, but it still helped. And so that's something that we're going to be examining throughout the rest of the afternoon, depending on who starts.
Yeah, it's also very matchup oriented too, right? Because with Indiana, with Turner and Thad, I think it might be a little more wise to go with Morris.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, and then when Sabonis comes in, you bring in Baines.
Right. So, and that's what I was going to say when we got to power forwards. Depending on who starts, that depends on who I have interest in, not only from the Celtics, but also from the Pacers.
Yeah.
Down low, because I don't want Miles Turner going up against Aaron Baines.
No.
Because he can't bang with that. Now, what I could see happening is Miles Turner end up playing more of the perimeter 5 when Baines is on him on the court. So there's a lot to break down there, and I'm going to have to think, and we can talk it over here in a little bit. But they're both probable. Taurean Prince for the Atlanta Hawks is doubtful. Alex Poitras is out another couple games. Big one here, big 2 actually. Paul George is questionable with a sore shoulder. He did bang it up the last game against the Pacers. He took a hard fall into the camera guy after getting hit. And I can thank Wesley Matthews for pounding him all game long for that. Because I know George still had a good game, but Wesley Matthews did actually do a very good job defending Paul George and kind of limiting the comfortability of him. Andrew Bogut is questionable with the groin. Now, this is actually really important, and we'll get to that. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, Luol Deng, Taj Gibson, both out. For the Los Angeles Lakers, Mike Muscala is probable. Josh Hart is out
for the season.
Yeah, for the season. So that's going to open up some guys as well.
LBJ is probable.
Yeah, LeBron's probably going to play. Tyson Chandler's questionable. Reggie Bullock is questionable. I don't know if Bullock's going to play, to be honest with you. I think he probably is done for the season, but they do have him listed as questionable, so it's something that we do have to pay attention to. For the Charlotte Hornets, Jeremy Lamb is probable. That is fantastic news. Tony Parker, questionable. He's probably going to play. He was coming back from the Manu tribute in San Antonio last night. Nicholas Batum is questionable as well with an illness. Seems to be that illness thing going around in the NBA as the weather gets warmer as well. Cody Zeller is out for the Charlotte Hornets as well, and that's going to open up some fun. So, shall we?
Yeah.
All righty. Point guard. I can't say who my top guy is going to be as of this moment because it's going to change if Paul George is out. If Paul George is in, I still like Russ, but he's not my top guy. My top guy would then be Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I think he's my top guy now, regardless.
I just can't pass knowing what Russ can do and knowing how, like, there are certain teams that Russ just does not like. Golden State being one of them.
There's lots of those teams.
Well, he doesn't like everybody, but he disdain, despise. The Denver Nuggets are actually one of those teams, surprising or not. I don't know why. I blame it on Rocky, the Denver Nuggets mascot, because he taunts him all the time, which Rocky does to every opposing player. But he's actually probably one of my favorite mascots in the NBA. But Russ just does not like the Denver Nuggets. So if George is out, it's going to be hard to pass up on Russ. And I actually could see myself playing a lot of Lillard, Russ, Westbrook lineups. And yes, that means passing over a 10K Kemba in Los Angeles. That means passing over a Steph Curry in Minnesota. Like, the top end of the point guard tier tonight is absolutely freaking loaded.
Yeah, it's stacked.
So you can make a serious case for any single one of these guys being a core play today in your lineups.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough today. Point guard is really brutal. I mean, you mentioned some of those guys. We haven't even talked about Trae Young, who I also love. I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah, you can even throw Trae Young into that. I mean, you could throw Jamal Murray into that because, he has gone off at times against the Thunder. One of these Wings players is going off for the Thunder. I just don't know which one yet, and I don't know which one I'm going to have exposure to yet the most. But Dame going up against Atlanta, he's got the best point guard matchup on the board. There's no question about it. Kyrie can go Uncle Drew at any moment. And they've kind of made it known that they don't care if they get the 4 or 5 seeds. I think they would much rather obviously prefer the 4 just to have that home court advantage against the Pacers. But they pretty much know that, they're going to be facing the Pacers in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And that brings a little bit of game theory into this, honestly, because I could definitely see where neither team really shows a lot. I think that's more on the Indiana end, just because without Victor Oladipo, they kind of need every advantage that they could possibly get. But the Celtics kind of need to keep working on that team chemistry. So I see it more on the Indiana end than the Boston end.
I don't know if I like that game at all, man.
Oh, I don't know if I like it, but we know that what Kyrie is capable of doing.
Just don't like that game at all. Because the only guy I would really consider from the Pacers would be Miles Turner, because I do like his ability to stretch out their bigs. I would consider, you mentioned Kyrie, yes, but I like it's just tough because it's going to be, look, if both teams do decide to show up and something in me is telling me these guys are going to want to make a statement, right? Because they're probably going to face each other here at some point but outside of that, man, I don't know. It's going to be a defensive matchup. And that's what I don't like. Those are games I try to avoid.
Yeah, and I can definitely see exactly what you're saying. Here's the one thing I will say. Kemba's going to be pretty chalky.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the matchup, because, Kemba's going to be chalky.
Yeah.
I can definitely, he's 10K on FanDuel. Kyrie is 10K on FanDuel as well. Kyrie's ownership is expected to be like a quarter of what I'm looking it up here. Okay, so the highest owned point guard is right now projected to be Russ. After that, and these are FanDuel ownership projections, but it'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea. Actually, these are DK ownership projections because FanDuel hasn't updated yet. Pricing is a little different, but it will give you an idea. After that, you've got Kemba at projected to be 18. I think he'll be higher on FanDuel, and then Kyrie to be 15. So this does give you a little bit of an idea of exactly where the public is kind of trending at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's, it's one of those things where as a GPP pivot to get off of the uber insane chalk, because Kemba at 10K is not easy to digest on FanDuel, I could see a pivot to Kyrie in some of your lineups. Where if you build a lineup like with, say, Kemba, and then you love that lineup, but you're a little iffy on Kemba, you could just switch him for Kyrie and have the exact same lineup. You could do that with a number of guys. You could do it with Steph. You could do it with, Steph and Kyrie would be the only two really you could do it with. But I do see a situation where you're going to get a fraction of the ownership, and Kemba could bust and Kyrie could go Uncle Drew. So it's a little bit of game theory there.
Yeah.
Trae Young against Portland. Without CJ McCollum in the lineup the last, what has it been now, 2 weeks? Portland's perimeter defense has actually kind of fallen off a little bit. And you don't think of it like that because CJ's not really known as a lockdown type of defender, but the coherency between him and Dame on the defensive end, it allows them to kind of feed off of each other. And they're not quite as good. Now, there could be a lot of different things that go into that. Quality of point guard play that they're facing, stuff like that could also play into the factor. But the point is that we've seen Trae in very, very tough matchups go bananas and berserk.
Sure.
So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he could do that again tonight.
Sure.
And I think that, above 8K, I think every single one of these point guards is in play. In
absolutely, absolutely, all of them.
It's just crazy.
It's tough. I think, man. So I just wanted to, as we've documented many times, you and I look at a little bit different in terms of matchups. What I mean by that is I like to look at 2 weeks. You look at 21 days. Sometimes I'll even go more granular. I'll go down to 1 week just to kind of see what's been happening lately. And the actual best matchup on the board for the last 2 weeks is actually for Steph by a slim margin, but, be right below Dame, but it's really close.
Yeah. The fact that Josh Okogie and Tyus Jones are now in that backcourt at the 1 and 2, they're both capable defenders. Josh Okogie is very long. They're not working well on the wing. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Andrew Wiggins is such a sieve that they're trying to legit make up for it.
Yeah.
And it's costing them at other spots as well.
And when you have a team, and when you have the Warriors, that's a huge problem.
Oh yeah,
because that's their bread and butter is behind the arc, and they can put up 1 million of them. So, or make 1 million of them, not just put up 1 million. Anyone can put up 1 million, but they actually make them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I do agree that like I said, I love all of them, and I think they're all great in great spots. Honestly. So I want to talk a little bit about Tyus Jones because he's kind of a hot name that comes about, especially with Teague and Rose out, stuff like that. I don't know if I can do it at 6,500. Now, the main point and problem with that is that I don't think he offers enough of the upside at that price, considering who's around him.
Right.
And when you sit there and you look at that let's go from 6K to 6,500 range, you've got Satoransky, Collinson, Rondo, Rubio, and Tyus Jones. And Tyus Jones is the most expensive, but I also don't think that he has the best upside when it comes to terms of, tournament plays. It's really, really, really. He's a no-brainer fade for me on Fanduel. Now on DraftKings, he is 5,400. He's not going to see Clay. Andrew Wiggins is going to see Clay. So yeah, I can definitely see the strong fade for Tyus Jones, and on FanDuel, I don't think he's going to be in any of my lineups.
I don't have any, and the reality here is I'm paying up for two of these studs. You've got legit 60 plus upside on like 5 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 6 of these guys. I'm not passing up on that.
Yeah, my theme of the day, guys, honestly, even with all the Lakers injuries and Alex Caruso being labeled as a point guard on FanDuel, my theme of the day is if you're not playing 30 minutes or close to it, I ain't touching you at point guard today.
Yeah.
That basically anyone, like the lowest I'll go as far as any type of exposure at the point guard position today is probably Seth Curry, not Steph Curry, Seth Curry.
I like it a lot. Particularly versus the Hawks, I think you can win a tournament with the Curry brothers.
Yep, I would agree, absolutely. And never thought I would say that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I'm going to look at. So, all right, let's move on to shooting guard here. Obviously, running behind, so we'll kind of pick it up a little bit. Bradley Beal, we got word right before we went on that there's a possibility that he could sit. The problem with this is that he plays in Utah. So I would put odds at knowing maybe 60-40 that we don't know before lock. I don't really honestly know what to do with Beal. Like, I'm going to have to watch Scott Brooks's press conference after shoot around, his interviews after shoot around to kind of see the feel. I do know what he said, and it hasn't been determined whether or not he is going to play.
It didn't sound very convincing.
It did not, and the reason I say that is they're on a long West Coast road trip, and he did struggle against the Lakers. Looked disinterested at times.
Looked tired.
And he looked really tired against the Suns.
Fatigued.
Yeah, and that's a better word maybe than tired, because I think he did look fatigued. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's I'm probably leaning towards the straight fade. Now I can take some chances on DK where, you've got late swap and everything, but on FanDuel, I think I'm probably going to pass.
Yeah, even if he plays, I don't know if I want to play him.
Yeah.
What it means is for other guys, but not, I don't think he's a player. And for everybody who doesn't know, the Wizards are officially eliminated from the playoffs. So
yes. That happened over this road trip. Now that does have my unfortunately, that does kind of sway my interest on Donovan Mitchell. If Beal plays, Beal's a trooper. He's going to go out there and give it his all, no matter how tired he is. But at least there's a chance that they keep this game a little bit closer. Yeah, the spread is 13.5. But there's a chance that he keeps it closer.
If he plays, yeah. That's like I had him, Mitchell, in my early builds, and then I read the stuff on Beal. I'm like, I can't do that now.
Yep.
Game's gonna be ugly.
So, my favorite shooting guard of the day is obviously it's Klay Thompson. And it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like I love the matchup. He's going to see a lot of Andrew Wiggins, and he's lit up the Timberwolves in the past. So I'm all for that. Mainly, I say that because I think that they're going to stick a Kogi on Kevin Durant because Okogie's got more defensive capabilities and he's longer. Now you could definitely see them switch a lot.
Sure.
But I think like the main portion of the game, if the Wolves can control it, and it's really hard to control against the Warriors when they're at full strength, but if they can control it, it's going to be, he's going to see a lot of Wiggins.
Yeah.
So, Marcus Smart, you kind of chasing it?
No, I'm not chasing it with Kyrie back. I like him without Kyrie.
Okay. Jeremy Lamb.
Very, 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 very intriguing.
Okay.
Very, 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 very intriguing. Because I think... So we've got to see what's with two. I think he's probable, but make sure he's probable. Hang on. Questionable. So we'll see. But either way, I mean, he should come in and destroy that second unit. For me, where I'm not playing Kemba, I want to kind of play off of that and still have Lamb and still have, possibly Bacon or, something like that. A combination of two Hornets to kind of counter not playing Kemba.
Okay, say that again. Because I didn't understand exactly what you were saying.
So what I'm saying is that because Kemba will be so chalky,
right?
If you have a scenario where Lamb and let's say Bacon or another Hornet, Marvin Williams, whomever, is going nuts, then Kemba will take a hit in his ceiling.
Okay.
And I want to play off of the chalk of Kemba and play another Hornet and have that Hornet go off at 1% versus Kemba going off at 55%.
Gotcha. Yes, that makes perfect sense and love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
So I'm looking at him. I'm looking at possibly Marvin Williams. I don't like his minutes as of late, but he's 4,300, so we'll get to that when we get to the power forwards. But I like Caldwell Pope. It's 5,500. You're getting 32, 33 minutes. He plays really, really well off LeBron because he gets him so many more open looks. Charlotte is like the third worst at defending the shooting guard. So they're going to have that there. A lot to like, the price, the upside. He's won us a ton of money over the last few weeks. People kind of forget about him, and then he goes off for 40. So I really like that. And then the second guy that I think I'm going to talk about here is the Ginger Prodigy.
Yes. What has been dubbed in our chat rooms as the Ginger Assassin. Kevin Huter. Love him tonight. He's getting 30 minutes a game. You've got Taurean Prince that's probably not going to play, which is going to open up a couple more shots for him. Absolutely love him tonight. And it's without like I said, without CJ McCollum, the wing defense in the backcourt for the Blazers has kind of taken a little bit of a hit. Now, we know that Maurice Harkless and Al-Farouq Amino can defend pretty well. More Amino than Harkless, but Harkless has the ability.
Both.
Yeah. But Seth Curry is not known for his defender. Jake Layman doesn't play enough to impact on the defensive end. It's just, there's a lot to like in this matchup. I think he's going to be pretty popular as well.
He should be. We just need a shot to fall because he doesn't do anything else.
Yep. Now,
So-
I do think that a lot of people are going to take a chance on Kent Bazemore with Prince out. But even with Prince out, it's not like he's done a lot this season. He's had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 games. I could definitely see him not being with the Hawks next season.
It got to be, right? I mean, there's no other explanation for not playing. He's still young.
Yeah, and he just looks like he's just fed up with it. Remember, we were kind of saying that this could be a breakout year for him because of the talent. He was in the starting lineup. He was going to be working next to Trey. He was the defensive stopper in that, in that starting 5. And he's been anything but anything this season. Yeah. And I think it's just he just doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, you definitely sense that. So for me, it's a pay down spot to shooting guard today.
Okay. If George misses, any interest in Schroeder?
I just don't like that chalk, but it's a really good spot, man. So I like the tempo. I like the fact that they're at home. I don't necessarily know that they'll start him. They do need that, punch off the bench because they won't have anybody off the bench with him. I mean, they just won't. I could see it probably being Marcus Morris, maybe, or Markieff rather.
That's what they did. The 2 games that George did miss a couple weeks ago, one of them was started by Schroeder. The other one was started by Markieff Morris. So I don't know. I could also see them starting Abdul Nader at the 3.
Yeah. Sure.
Because he's played his way into that rotation, a significant role in that rotation lately, and then keeping everybody coming off the bench working. But you're right. I think that if it was our pick, I think we would keep Schroeder coming off the bench to have that punch with the second unit. Now that doesn't mean that he's a bad play at all. He's still going to get his 30-plus minutes tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Even if George does play, he's still going to get his 30-plus minutes tonight. Make no mistake about it. Mm-hmm. It's just the shot distribution on who he's playing with. Coming off the bench, he's got the ability to kind of take over a little bit more than he does starting with Russ and Grant and Steven Adams. I'm going to ask you a question. And
by the way, if George plays, then I want to play Schroeder because then he'll be like 5%.
Yes,
so that's
exactly.
different.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I do not want you to laugh at me.
Oh, boy.
Monty Morris or Andre Iguodala?
It's got to be Morris for me.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I think they're going to kind of scale back on Iggy's minutes a little bit and his role coming down the stretch and keep him ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So because if anything happens to Iguodala, that bench is screwed. So all right, let's move on to small forwards here. I actually love this position if things go the way that I think they're going to go. Just so everybody knows, I do think that Paul George does play, just because of the importance of the games coming down the stretch. Now, with that said, obviously, I have no inside information. It is just merely a feeling and knowing and reading everything I possibly can with this team. I do think that he plays, but it's definitely it's not set in stone. LeBron is going to play. Are you playing LeBron James?
I'm not against it. I just don't have a way to support 11-3 currently with
Can I sell you on it real quick?
Yeah.
And this is not saying that roster construction is going to lead that way. This is saying that I do think he is a very good play tonight. The minutes limit thing that they talked about, I think they basically came to a concession like, okay, I'm going to sit on the back end of back-to-backs, and if we're getting blown out, I'm going to sit, but at home in front of our fans because I need to win over this Lakers fan base, and stay, you know, I don't want to say good. Yeah, maybe that. Stay in as good of graces as I possibly can going into this offseason with all the damage the perceived damage that I've caused with this organization. At home, he's going to give it his all, and as long as it's close, he's going to play.
I mean, we've continued to see that. That's not new, and it's a good matchup and all those things. But I don't like the price. Because
I can agree with you there.
That's really the only thing that's limiting me. If he was back to if he was at 11K, cool, I'd consider it. But
especially with the talent that we have at the upper echelon of point guard today.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm going to pay at least 10K times 2 up there. Maybe Trae Young as well. But for the most part, that's where I want to spend today. I was at point guard.
Wow. So the Celtics.
Yeah, man.
Just banned a guy. He's a minor.
It's a kid. They did the right thing. They did the right thing.
Yeah, they did. He got a 2-year ban.
Yep.
We're not going to go into that, but if you want to know, then just go ahead and search Celtics ban and or Boogie ban, and you'll probably pull it up. All right, Kevin Durant. Any interest?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've been watching them lately, and Steph and Durant have been really, really, really playing well together. Just my biggest fear here is this game's going to get ugly, man. That's my concern. Will it? Not necessarily, but I mean, it's got not the worst spread, but. Yeah, I mean, under 10K, you've got a guy that can get you for 55 consistently, versus a really bad defensive team. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I agree with you. I think he's going to be in some of my lineups. He's not a main core. I'm going to limit to the Warriors are at full health, so I don't play. Unfortunately, as much as I love playing Draymond because I know what he's able to do and doesn't rely on scoring, I don't play Draymond when Boogie's in the lineup. But I only play. I don't pair I don't play more than 2 Warriors in a lineup at a time.
Yeah.
I just don't do it because Steph and Clay can go off. That means Durant's not going off. The only one that we used to be able to do this with before Boogie was Draymond. We could play Steph and Clay and Draymond because Draymond doesn't need to score in order to get the stats. But I just don't do it anymore with the way that everything's in.
Okay.
Man. Jabari Parker has... If the dude would just care a little bit, about defense, he would be a max player. Unfortunately, that's not how his mind works. But he's been bouncy.
He bouncy. He definitely bouncy. Yeah, I mean, he looks to be in good health, and he's got the bounce and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's just not a really good game for them. The Jazz have been just, I mean, crazy at every single position. I mean, literally not one position are they bad at. Their worst, which is still top 3 in the league, is center, believe it or not, which is, I know, considering Gobert, but I think that's for different reasons, which we can talk about at a different time. I don't think it's Gobert. But, I mean, dude, there's not a single position here that I look at and say, okay, I want to play that. Not one. Yep. for the Jazz. Some garbage minutes, yeah, sure, but that's about it.
I actually, there's a guy that I do like for the Wizards here.
Save it.
Okay.
The guy we talked about before?
Yes.
No. That's a VIP special.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I talk about the other guy here at this next position that I like?
Yeah.
That he was the first guy that popped into my head.
Sure.
If Beal missed, and I would tell you why later. Maybe no, I'll save that for VIPs too, though, because we're running low on time. Best value, believe it or not. Obviously, we're paying attention to Nicholas Batum. That's gonna, if he's out, that's gonna sway my interest on Dwayne Bacon a little bit. I'm not gonna play Bacon without Batum. I do like either Will Barton or Gary Harris. I don't like them both in the same lineup. But I will have a little bit of each of them. But the guy that I'm really, really kind of looking at a lot, DeAndre Bembry, man.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be popular because he might even start. But even if he doesn't, he's going to play a ton of minutes here. He's really cheap. Taurean Prince is not going to play. It's a really, really good game in terms of totals and pace. What's the total here? Yeah, it's the highest on the board. And Portland has a slim edge here on the spread too, 2.5. So, like, I want as much of that game as possible.
Yep, I do agree. Troy Brown Jr. is only a drop on FanDuel. He is a whopping price on 4,300 on DraftKings. He's unplayable, in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
Unless you're building 50 plus lineups and you will throw him in at like 1 or 2%. Jake Layman, not touching him. He's another drop. So if you want to mix up the drop potential of Troy Brown and Jake Layman on FanDuel, then by all means go ahead. I would much rather spend up and play DeAndre Bembry though. So I'll eat that.
I'd rather have Vince Carter as my drop over Jake Layman.
Well, see, here's the thing over Jake Layman. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was about to say, here's the thing with the drops that I want. I either want him to do really, 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 really good, or I want him to suck. I don't want him to be in that 23-point range, even though that's good for a min-price player, because then it just takes longer for me to keep climbing and just the whole science of the drop score thing. All right, let's go on to power forwards here. Paul Millsap. I think there's a game or two down the stretch that Paul Millsap ends up sitting. I would not be surprised if it's actually tonight. Just because he's old, they need to get him going for the playoffs and stuff like that. And against the Thunder, they can stick Plumlee at the 5 against Adams, who's got more of the body type. Not saying that Jokic can't handle it, and put Jokic at the 4 and let him stretch and go against Jeremy Grant, who has not been as consistent on the defensive end the last 2 weeks. Last 3 weeks. He's had a lot of bad matchups. I'm not saying that. But the defense of the Thunder has lagged quite a bit down low. And I think a lot of it has to do with the help defense from Steven Adams and Jeremy Lamb. Jeremy Grant. They're not communicating as well as they were at the beginning of the season. So I would not be surprised, though, if Paul Millsap does sit. If he does not, it's power forwards against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which has kind of been a trend the last couple weeks. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he went off against us when we were up in Denver the last game.
Good, he's locked in for me. But let's real quick finish the small forwards. So you mentioned Bembry. I actually like Bogdanovic here. He might be the only guy I like from that game outside of Kyrie. He is the team's leading scorer. I like him a lot more with Darren Collison because Collison opens him up a lot. People they don't throw the entire defense on him like they did with Collison was missing. And I really, really, really like Miles Bridges for Charlotte. Now, I mentioned to you that I'm going to be.
Does 2 matter there at all for you?
No.
Okay.
Obviously better without, but no.
Okay.
And the reasoning is, like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Kemba, like I want to play other Hornets off of the Kemba chalk, and Bridges and Lamb are those two. I'm not saying they can't all go off, but I'm saying at least if I get exposure to those two to get, recoup some of those Kemba points in case he goes crazy, I'll be okay. Because if he goes crazy, the game is close.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that one. It's one of those situations where everything kind of lines up. It's just how to explain. I don't know how I'm going to explain this, and we don't have time for me to figure it out. So,
okay.
But I do agree with you 100%. Derek Favors against Washington. He's going to play his 26 minutes, whether it's a blowout or not.
Yeah.
So I don't mind him tonight, and I normally don't predict blowouts. I do think that there are better options, but I don't mind him because he's still going to see his time no matter what.
Sure.
We've seen that time and time again. I'm not worried about John Collins against a Muni defense because it's a different, like, John Collins' game doesn't solidify. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, absolutely. There's different. They're not going to be able to keep Amino on him.
Right.
He's not.
Exactly.
He's not going to be able to. He's too big.
Yeah, exactly. So you could see extended run from either Miles Leonard or Zach Collins. Probably more Zach Collins.
Definitely more Zach Collins.
You could see a lot. You could see a bigger lineup from the Blazers tonight. From the 3 down, where it's Aminu at the 3, Collins at the 4, and Cantor at the 5. At times.
Oh, okay. Not starting.
No, not starting. At times.
Gotcha.
Through the rotations. So
yeah.
Draymond, not with Boogie. I know the matchup. I know. I can't. Sabonis. It depends on who starts for Boston. If Baines and Horford are starting, then I like Sabonis. If Baines goes back to the bench, like you said at the beginning of the show, to match Sabonis, I'm probably not going to play a lot of them tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes, but I think I still might have some interest. I don't like the price, but the matchup is too tough to pass on. Boston has been atrocious at the center position. And, we want to take some advantage of that. He's a lot less than, say, Miles Turner, who's an actual center there, but he still plays the center position, Sabonis does, as a backup, or a lot of times they'll play him and Turner together. They'll play him and Thad together. Thad gets in foul trouble, or excuse me, Sabonis. Turner gets in foul trouble. Sabonis is the center. So there's all kinds of things to look at here. So I will have some interest in Sabonis.
I'm just worried about Baines matching him. And some of those bad center numbers have been when Baines was out. Not all of them, but some of them. Now, Baines is only going to play about 20 minutes, but it's not like Sabonis plays, 33 either. Right. They've got those 3 bigs that they do rotate in and out. So the ideal situation would be for him to see as little Baines as possible. He's still going to see him some, but if they're both coming off the bench, that's where I'm gonna draw my interest down a lot.
Sure.
Thad Young, I don't like a lot of power forwards today.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, outside of Millsap, whom I just love, I think for me it's going to just Millsap and Collins and just call it a day.
Collins is expensive, man.
He's not that bad.
5,100?
That's not that bad. Not for this matchup.
I think I'd almost rather play Marvin Williams against the Lakers.
I had Marvin too. I had him. I looked at him. I even looked at Kaminsky.
Or even Marcus Morris for $100 more.
Maybe, because that's really going to depend on the flow of this game. Yeah. So it's just, there's a lot up in the air. But and then if George sits, it's Jeremy Grant. You know, so there's we're waiting. Like here. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait. I haven't said this once all year, but I'll even play Dario Saric today.
Nope.
I haven't said it once all year. But the last time I didn't play a power forward versus the Warriors, I really regretted it. Really regretted it. I don't want to regret it again. Obviously, they're not the same player, and he's been garbage. But it's tough to pass on that matchup.
I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I know what he's done over the last couple games with Taj out. He's playing 26, 27 minutes. I just can't do it. So, because I know what Draymond's capable of doing when his head is in the game. So
sure.
All right, center. It's kind of loaded tonight, but I'm really only interested in about 6 of these guys. We're not going to talk about all 6, but Cat, obviously, he's had his way with, I like both centers in this game a lot. Cat and Boogie have both had very good games against each other in the past. So I have no problems playing either one of those. Jokic is actually hit or miss against Steven Adams. He's had a couple good games, but Steven Adams has got the better of him a couple of those times as well. I know there's a trend there. I can't remember if it's Jokic does better at home than he does in Oklahoma City or not. I'll have to look. I'll let everybody know a little bit later. But 10-5 is a tough pill to swallow with the point guards that we have on the slate today. I do think these top echelon centers are going to be low owned because of the point guards. But like there's upside there, and it gets you on a different type of roster construction, which is pretty good. JaVale McGee, though, is the guy I wanted to spend some of this time talking about. If you look at JaVale McGee, okay, you've kind of watched this and you kind of warned us about this, and I didn't buy in until it was almost too late, and now I'm paying premiums for JaVale McGee.
Mm-hmm.
But he's had one bad game, 2 bad games, basically, since this whole little 30 minutes a game thing started. And even those 2 games, really it was only one bad game, and that was against Milwaukee where he played 32 minutes and absolutely sucked. But every game since the 15th of March has basically been over 40 fantasy points, except for the one against Utah, which he was going up against Rudy Gobert. So kind of makes a little bit of sense. Plus, didn't they get blown out and he sat the last couple minutes? He only played 30 minutes, which is about his norm, but...
which game was that?
The Utah game. It was a 15-point game, but...
Yeah. Towards the end, it was... It's one of those where, okay, we're not going to win this. Have a seat kind of thing.
But JaVale McGee is going to be in a crap ton of my lineups.
Yes, you should be. Here's the thing. I'm getting asked all the time, what's gotten into JaVale?
He's just getting minutes.
He's healthy. That's
and
what
he's
it
playing
is.
for a contract.
That's the second thing I was going to say. But the first thing is he's healthy. He's had this in him all year. When he got that pneumonia, I don't think I don't know who has gone through that before, but as an elite athlete, when you get something like that to your lungs, it just changes everything about your abilities to do anything at all. So he's healthy now. That's past him. And yeah, he's playing for a contract. He's on a 1 year, guys. He's on a 1 year, and that ends this year. So next year, he's either going to make his case to come back to the Lakers. He depending on who the Lakers end up signing, trading, whatever. So fit will be a big deal there. But he's shown, and he wants to continue to show another team, I'm going to be your starting center. Like, you need a center? Cool. Charlotte can use someone like him. Washington can use someone like him, although they have Thomas Bryant, and they'll probably stick with him, which they should. There's other teams that are going to love him. I mean, he would be a good backup back in Golden State again. I mean, there's all kinds of places that teams that can use him, and I can go over probably 6-7 more, like the Clippers. But that's definitely on his agenda, and he's showing it. So, I did tell the guys, hey, let's get on this train before he gets. I mean, he's going to be 8K soon. Like, he's not going to be 8K. He's going to be 8K soon.
I never said that he wasn't going to be 8K.
I didn't say you. I said guys.
Well, that was kind of a shot at me because I was not on the train for a long time and it cost me a lot of money.
That's fine.
But like, now that I've seen it and I've kind of looked at it and I've watched it, I still think 8K is too cheap.
I mean,
I would pay $8,500 for him in this matchup tonight.
Legitimate 55, 60 point upside in this game.
Yep.
So, he's probably my top center as of right now.
He is mine.
Based on price, based on, whatever else. There's a couple guys here that I think could be sneaky, which we'll get into. But, I don't really want to play Gobert at 10-3. I don't really want to play Cat, to be honest, versus Boogie. I don't really want to play Jokic. I mean, I might have a few shares of Jokic, maybe, but because I don't think he'll be very, very owned. But outside of that,
I don't think Cat or Jokic are be high owned.
No, they shouldn't be.
I think the two highest owned are going to probably be Boogie and Vail Mcgee. I don't have any interest in Thomas Bryant tonight.
Not at that price. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, Fanduel did a good job about that. He is only 6,600 on DraftKings, so I do have some interest over there. Here is a big. I want Cantor. I will have some Cantor because I think he's going to be lower owned than he's definitely going to be low owned. Coming off the bust, I want some Mason Plumlee. I want some Dwayne Dedmon, and I want some Alex Len.
Yeah. I even want some Al Horford. I like that matchup for him too, regardless of whether it's center or power forward, which I still think it'll end up being center. But because that and Morris just make too much sense, but the matchup wise. But yeah, I really like Plumlee. Because I do, of course, we have to end up seeing what happens here. But the sense of Jokic struggling with Adams or getting in foul trouble, which he's done against Adams, I think more than once, not that long ago either, definitely intrigues me about a 4% owned. Plumlee. Tony, I already mentioned Turner. I said I liked him a lot because of his ability to stretch out the Boston bigs. So I do like Turner a lot. But yeah, Plumlee is very intriguing. And Dedmon, I've been looking at Dedmon a lot too because, I mean, how do you not attack Cantor's defense? You just kind of have to. And Dedmon is that guy that, can stretch, can post, can do a lot of damage there. Not so in love with the 6,400 price tag, given that he rarely sees 30 minutes a game. But at 4,400, I can get behind Alex Len.
Yep. Like I said, I've got some interest in both, just because Cantor's not good at deep. So, all right. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
I mean, I kind of want to see how Hernan Gomez does tonight. I think he gets a little bit more run than usual because of the size. But I mean, I'm not going to have much. I might play him 1 out of 50, but I'm definitely curious to see how he ends up doing.
Yep. He's a wait and see kind of thing. More of a DraftKings play. Just because I'm too scared that he becomes a drop, and I don't like having a drop at center. So
sure.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Got a lot coming to you guys through NBA, through MLB. We're packed on a Friday. So I want to make sure that everybody knows, make sure that you guys are not trying to do too much. If you're going to commit to NBA and maybe play a later slate in baseball or something like that. Please, 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 with the way that it is in NBA lock, do not try to play both. MLB locks 7 minutes later than NBA, or get your MLB lineups kind of pretty much done early and then go from there. So, but Bear, let's keep crushing tonight, shall we?
As we should.
Awesome. For myself, for Bear, for the DFS Army, peace out.